Hello, and thank you for tuning in to the Blacks in Cybersecurity Lightning Talks. My name is Roderick Chambers, and I will be giving the presentation for Blacks in Intelligence and Threat Hunting. For this discussion, I'll be going over a little bit about my background as an intelligence collection professional, what the intelligence collection profession means to Blacks in cybersecurity, threat hunting and why it's important, not just for those cybersecurity professionals, but for the entire Black community and communities in general as well, and also real world scenarios. How can we take intelligence collection, the profession, the idea, and embed that in our personal and professional lives? So a little bit about who I am. My name is Roderick Chambers. I've spent more than 12 plus years in the intelligence collection field. I started off in the public sector, 10 years, focusing on human intelligence collection, and then expanding into information security. Throughout the years, transitioning from the public sector to the private sector, I needed an avenue, a method to prove my expertise in the field to the private sector, as some of those federal government credentials don't always translate over. I was very focused in the certification that I decided to go out and earn, and throughout that time I've expanded into information security program development, threat intelligence collection and implementation into programs, and information security in general for not only businesses and corporations, but into our communities and into our developing youth as well. A little bit about how I started in this journey. I'm originally from Corpus Christi, Texas, currently residing in San Antonio, Texas. My original career path was not in intelligence. I started off in 2008, was granted the opportunity to explore this field, and I took off in that field for 10 years. One of the most important factors joining the intelligence community, what we call the IC, was the Obama administration's push for diversity in the intelligence community. Throughout the years, I understood more of why that diversity is needed. As with human intelligence collection, it's about relationship building. And through diversity, those relationships can be built globally, especially when it comes down to national security. Upon my first interest into the intelligence community, I was struck with the difficulty of finding operations officers, certified core collectors, those in the clandestine services, those that look like me. While there are a few Black males in intelligence collection, Black women collection officers were also a rarity. I was able to find those individuals, and we kind of just held on to each other, providing those lessons learned and guiding me and other of my colleagues through this journey. When you're looking at that and trying to find individuals that look like you in a profession, you got to wonder, what does the entire intelligence community that looks like? Myself, being a newbie to the intelligence community, during my time in 2008, the numbers that we see now for 2018, 12.1% of the IC was African American. Those numbers were even lower. Throughout those years, we tried to build that number up to provide some diversity. There's still work to be done, but I believe the biggest hurdle is allowing the Black community, Black professionals in information technology, to understand that the intelligence collection aspect of this is extremely beneficial, not just to security, but to also business development and growth. Now, working in the public sector with the federal government, the foundation that I had built was on the principles of spotting, assessing, developing, and recruiting human assets to provide intelligence to policymakers. Throughout that training, we've learned several techniques that we use commonly day to day since the time we were children and throughout adults. If you're a child and you're spotting the right adult to get you a gift during the holidays, you've pretty much used that cycle of spotting that adult, developing them, and then recruiting them to get you that present. If we have significant others, spouses, we've done the same thing. But honing in on that skill to use it for bigger goals, such as national security, competitive and business intelligence. That's when the human intelligence aspect of intelligence collection comes into play. But a couple of things that we have to understand what intelligence can do for us is it informs us. It informs our customers, our stakeholders, our executives, even our business leaders on those opportunities that exist, potential threats that are out there, helping them form a educated decision. But what intelligence cannot do is it cannot predict the future. Intelligence is used by finding multiple sources to corroborate information, to ensure its validity before we give that to our stakeholders to make an educated decision. What it does not do is does not predict the future. It provides us valuable benchmarks, data points, even statements that can guide our decision making, which is very important as we grow and develop in our businesses. Now, throughout that time of human intelligence collection and developing my skills, you begin to dive into other intelligence collection areas: imagery, open source, signals, and measurements and signatures as well. However, in 2008, when I first joined the government, we expanded into cyber threat intelligence, the ability to collect intelligence through other things, such as the Internet of Things. If you ask yourself right now, what would cause more professional and personal damage to your lives, losing your wallet or losing your cell phone? I believe that we would all say losing our cell phone would cause immensely more damage. Thinking about the access to emails, the access to your employer's email accounts, your social security numbers, just multiple areas, entry points, a vast amount of personally identifiable information that if fell into the wrong hands could cause substantial damage. And that is where threat hunters come from. Individuals who try to find those vulnerabilities, those weaknesses, those multiple avenues to collect intelligence, to uncover security incidents that might otherwise go undetected. This career path, this need in information security is very valuable and in demand. But then we look and we try to move away from the Hollywood version of threat hunters, of intelligence collection. From myself, being from green to the intelligence community, you look at Hollywood or those fictional stories of spies and case officers and hackers and others, and we have this fictional mindset. But in reality, threat hunters look just like you who are tuned in to this talk, and myself as well. One of the things that I would feel like there's a huge challenge that we still need to overcome is diversity, especially with Black professionals in intelligence collection. While over the years, I had hoped that my cadre of friends and colleagues had expanded, it's taken a turn where we've lost some professionals in this field, very talented individuals. And in order for us to continue that path of diversity, to continue the path of national security and protecting, we do need diversity in intelligence collection. Now, when we look at intelligence collection, we think of hackers being that technical piece, learning how to code, how to script, how to break down malware, big scary terms. But in actuality, it's a business problem. When we look at intelligence collection, we can look at vulnerabilities in our system, vulnerabilities in our training and awareness plan. Are we training our staff to correctly identify phishing attempts? Are we looking at best policies for logins and passwords, for credential use, vulnerability management? We're also looking at intelligence from a business problem as quantifying the threat. How much would a breach actually cost us? If we look at things such as the OPM breach, the Marriott breach, even the Equifax breach, these are millions, if not billions of dollars that we lose due to a breach. Again, a business problem. And living in the world of COVID for most of us right now, everything from our barbers to dentists to our food services and providers, third-party vendors, those apps we're using to exchange contactless service and payment, those food vendors. Third-party vendors are even more of a risk that we have now with our information. Now, for myself, seeing the maturity, we've looked at cybersecurity intelligence collection as a checkbox activity. However, we are now in the phase of growing maturity in our information security programs, assessing the people that we have, looking at threats, the data sources that we're using, security solutions and workflows. Even from an international and domestic government standpoint, we're implementing policies and compliance and regulations. In 2018, the General Data Protection Regulation impacted the European Union and a lot of US companies that have conducted business in the EU to be held accountable for data, information security. If we look at 2019 with the New York City Code Rules and Regulations 500 that protects financial institutions in the state of New York to take responsibility for protecting customer and consumer data. If we look now in 2020 in California, the California Consumer Privacy Act, again, accountability of companies, businesses, organizations, and third parties for customer information. We have moved and we've evolved from a checkboxing activity, but to growing in maturity, growing our workforce and our technical and compliance. Now, if we look at intelligence collection, those areas impact every area of our business. Threat actors also use intelligence collection as well. Social engineering, being able to craft phishing emails, being able to craft Excel documents and PDF files, things that we look at in our inbox, at the early hours of the morning or the late hours at night, and we wouldn't pay any mind. But once we click on those items, a simple click can execute that malware. But that's all used through intelligence collection, targeting individuals using information that they feel comfortable with. As we look for the reconnaissance phase, threat actors using intelligence to understand those vulnerabilities. Passive collection, looking at your social media platforms, looking at the cadence of human resources, sending out emails and notifications, even using our remote communication devices, your Zooms, your Cisco WebEx, your GoToMeetings. What has vulnerabilities? What can entice a user to execute this malware so that I can gain access? It's all intelligence collection. It's crafting the best way to recruit you, whether you're witting or not witting, to complete my goal. And as we look and we lean heavily on information technology and the Internet of Things, we still have to be very aware of human intelligence collection. When we get on flights, when we use our Uber drivers and Lyft drivers, the information that we share with them, the location of your hotels, the conversations you have, those are also important, and we cannot omit those from our training and awareness programs. Every aspect of what we do in this day and age is intel, and that intel can be used for good or it could be used for nefarious purposes as well. But it's understanding that intel is the key. And then as we take one look forward is, how can intelligence be leveraged in our communities, in the Black communities? Well, educating our youth. As we all are very aware that once we put something out on the internet, it's almost permanent, if not permanent. Educating on social media awareness, how to use various platforms to promote our reputation, our skill set, ensuring that our youth have a fair chance at moving forward. And that all comes through training and awareness. Preventing cyberbullying as well too, which has become a very, very big piece in our youth now. But gathering intelligence on who is targeting our youth, who's targeting a student, an individual in our community is important. Protecting our services, during the IRS season, protecting our elderly community from scams, both those phishing, those phone calls we receive that are bots, knowing how to report those to the mail we still receive, Having the intelligence to know what fraud is out there, how can we prevent those? Staying in contact is extremely important. Strengthening our business. During COVID, we've had to expand to using apps for food delivery service, for booking appointments, but protecting that information that we're using. Contactless payment, the payment card information that we transmit through these devices. It's all important. It's all gathered through intelligence. What are threat actors targeting? And then again, our personal security. During the Black Lives Matters movement, we had groups like 4chan and Antifa utilizing intelligence, social media platform to again stalk and victimize individuals, victims of human trafficking, domestic violence. Those call outs, those gentle and subtle call outs on social media platforms, that's all intel that if we can collect, distill, and filter, we can have a major impact, not only to business, but also to our personal lives as well. So the call to action is for our Blacks in cybersecurity to remain focused on expanding our profession, to embed intelligence in our information security programs, training and awareness, and in our communities. Leveraging intel to be a helper, to be a difference maker is extremely important. Again, I thank you for the opportunity, and I hope that you all give this consideration as we move forward. Thank you all.